Hi, in this video we're going to talk about how to perfect your lawn stripes and overall some techniques for getting straighter lines. I recognize that if you're a seasoned landscaper, you have some techniques to accomplish this, so this video is more targeted for beginner landscapers or a residential customer that just wants to make their lawn look better. So first off, there's a few things to think about that are external from the machine. Your grass height is going to have a big impact on how much these stripes contrast each other. If you're cutting at a taller height, maybe between 3 and 4 inches, the stripes are more prone to contrast each other well, as opposed to if you're cutting at a lower height like 2 inches, where the grass is so short that the lines aren't really able to contrast much. But that's not to say you can't still leave some nice stripes at a lower height. So when you're first starting off, maybe you have a new customer or it's your first cut of the year, it's really essential that you set up your stripes well, because you'll be continuing to mow on these stripes throughout the season, and the stripes will continue to improve throughout the season. So your first stripe is essentially the most important one. Once you've mowed the perimeter of your lawn, you want to pick a point in the center of the lawn, depending on how the lawn layout is, and you want to focus on a point that's past the end of your cut. Once you've aimed your mower in the right direction, you want to keep that line of sight focused on that target as you mow that pass. If your eyes are shifting and you're trying your hardest to keep your mower going straight and you're looking at the deck, your stripe is bound to curve off or to go back and forth. And I'm sure that you've experienced this where you've come to the end of a pass and look back and realize how crooked your stripe is. So it's essential that you keep your eyes focused on that target. Once you've set up that first stripe, it gets a little bit easier because you're using that as a guide for the rest of your passes. So now, as you turn around, you're about to go back, there's some things to think about. Some of our mowers come with a striping kit. We use a rubber strip on the back of the deck, which helps fold the grass over. But also you want to think about the advantage your tires have with the borders of your stripes. Your tires carry the weight of the machine, and they almost essentially act as a large striping kit. So you want to make sure that your tire passes are not overlapping. This is easier to do with a larger mower with a bigger deck where your wheels are inset from the deck than, let's say, if you're cutting with a standard B32 where the wheels go out almost to the edge of the deck. But it's possible in all machines. So once you turn around, you want to make sure you're overlapping just enough that you're not missing any blades of grass. But that being said, you want to make sure your tire lines are not overlapping. You want to make sure that you're establishing the borders of your stripes. This will make your stripes pop a lot better. Once you've done that and you've established that, it's a lot easier just to continue that process. If you start in the center of the lawn, your stripes are more bound to be parallel going out than if you were to start on one end and slowly, gradually work your way over. Your stripes, even if they varied just slightly, by the end of it, you're more likely to be less than parallel with the stripe at the other end. So those are some key points in getting straight stripes and stripes that pop more. If you're really having trouble with your cut, then there's a few things to think about, such as your deck pitch, which can also be affected by your tire pressure. Things like a spindle that's been bent or a deck that's been bent. Also your blades, which type of blades you're using, and if the blades are sharpened. Lots of things like that we have other videos that go into detail on those that I'll link in the description. If you have any tips and tricks on getting a better stripe, we welcome you to leave those in the comments. I'm sure those would be very helpful to anyone interested in this topic, and I hope this video has been helpful to you. Hope you have a great rest of your season. Thanks for watching this week's video. I wanted to throw in here some tips for those of you who might understand all the techniques for getting the perfect stripe, but are just getting a hang of controlling a Wright stander or any zero turn really. This information mostly pertains to our standers, as we have them tuned to be very responsive. This can be hard to get used to at first. However, once you get the hang of it, it allows you to make much quicker, precise turns and ultimately be more productive. So here are some tips for really getting a hang of how our controls work. So initially, when you're thinking about a zero turn, it's easy to think that in order to go straight, you push both levers the same amount, and to steer, you simply alternate levers in the direction you want to go. However, this often leads to jerky lines, and it's just very hard to stay straight. It's easy to be thrown off, and you end up with a crooked stripe. So the best way to think of it is using one lever as your speed and the alternate lever as your direction. You do this by picking a speed that you're comfortable with, lower than the maximum speed of the machine, which gives the other lever the ability to match the speed If you push it further, it'll go the opposite direction. So in this case, the machine will pivot left, or if you pull back a little bit, it'll pivot right. And as you're following through on your pass and you get used to it, this will sort of happen subconsciously, where you're doing this a million times, but leading to a smoother line that you're not even thinking about. And you end up with a much crisper, straighter line.